Back at Blackpool again where we were mowing the other week. Another absolutely stunning morning. And it's the first day out for the new 7626 Verti drain. And we'll get hopefully all the pitches opened up today. What is verti draining? It is decompaction of a grass pitch. Over time, when you're using that pitch for sports, for matches, for training, whether you're driving on it and mowing, whether you're pushing a mower across it and mowing, whether you're spraying chemicals, applying feed, even painting the lines, because there is weight on that pitch, there is compaction occurring. So a verti drain is a way of relieving that compaction. There's other ways of doing it as well. You can do it through shock waving. Slitting does relieve a bit of compaction, opens up the surface. The two main ways of decompacting the pitches are verti draining and shock waving. Like I said when we got here, an absolutely glorious morning, and we're getting well on now with the first of the pitches. It's leaving a really good finish. So much smoother and quieter than the old one. It really is a pleasure to use. And as I say, a little bit difficult seeing sun, leaving a really good finish. Absolutely fine at this bottom end where we turn, but this top end, the water seems to run off the slope by the road and collect, and it just holds a little bit wetter. So that is a little bit uglier where we turn, but it's well off the pitch and it will recover soon enough. Now there does appear to be a bit of a knock coming, I think from that side of the machine. So at the end of this run, which is actually the last run on this pitch, I'm going to stop and have a look and just see if there's anything that I can notice that's a problem. Spotted that tine's missing and the one next to it's a little bit loose, so I think that was probably the knocking noise. So I'll just find that tine now, put them back in and tighten them up. I've also spotted just here up the side of here, the top there, and then also on the inside of the seal there, just a little bit of oil that seems to be dripping from this seal here. The challenge now is to find the missing tine. Sometimes you can see it sticking up. In fact, you can see on screen just there, you can find it. Sometimes you can't see them sticking up because the rear rollers run over it, and then what that means that you have to do is you have to look at the holes, the pattern of holes in the ground, find where you last see a full set, and literally track back from there to try and find where the gap in the pattern is, and then dig your tine out. That tine's back in now, the one next to it's tightened up. I've run along and checked all of them and they all seem fine, but that's what you just have to keep your eyes and ears out for. I just heard a knock, and funnily enough it was found on the run, pretty much to the point where I said I can hear a bit of a knock, I better check that. So it's always worth being vigilant. As I say, I'll keep an eye on the little bit of an oil leak I seem to have spotted, but all in all it's great to have that machine on and working. By relieving the compaction that's built up over time, the primary goal is to increase and improve the plant health and strength. Now, a lot of people think that if you verti drain or you decompact a pitch, immediately it will dry out and it won't be waterlogged and you'll get games on. The water's tugged off to a different dimension of the universe and it's never to be seen again. That isn't really the case. It will help a pitch to dry out quicker, particularly if you've got a really good drainage system installed under your pitch, or you've got relatively free draining ground. But it won't certainly turn a marsh into Wembley overnight. The main benefits of decompaction is that it opens up lots of space in the subsurface of your pitch. Those spaces are created by cracks and fractures, and what they allow is the root mass of your plant to increase, more roots, greater depth. And then what that allows to occur is the exchange of gas from your compacted pitch. The gases that are built up as organic matter decomposes over time, they're released and they're replaced with oxygen, which then allow your plant to thrive and become healthier and stronger. As well as oxygen, if you're in a position where you're able to put granular or liquid feeds onto your pitch, then it allows the uptake of those to be more straightforward for a plant. So it gives you greater value for money with any nutrients that you're applying to your pitch. The plant takes them up easier, it can access them quicker, it can increase its strength and its health, and that's only going to benefit the pitch itself. And the final thing to point to is that increased root matter, that increased root depth creates a stronger plant. So as you're playing on the pitch, the grass is less likely to kick out, it's less likely to lose coverage over the course of a season, meaning that the pitch itself remains in a better playing condition. But also come your end of season renovations, you've got less bare patches that require more seed. So again, the money you invest in your summer renovations can be helped to go further if you're regularly decompacting your pitches. grass area is for will dictate which is more likely to be the one that you decide to use. But they all have the benefits, they all have the drawbacks. We run the 7626, so that'll give us inch diameter tines that will work up to a depth of 16 inches. We also have a smaller one, a 7316, which will give us up to 3/4 inch diameter tines that will work up to 12 inches. There's various combinations of tines you can buy that sort of fill the gaps and sizes in between those. And you've obviously got an infinite amount of spacings that you can have between your holes. Ideally, you would have your holes at square spacings, but there could be factors that mean that you reduce or increase those spacings accordingly. And that's something that's really key to discuss with any contractor who's going to vertidrate your pitch or your grass area, is what are your specific requirements in terms of spacings, what are the benefits and drawbacks to the different spacings, and which are you going to go for as a customer. Another thing to consider that's sort of variable, if you will, from job to job and pitch to pitch is the amount of heave that you want on your Verti drain. So they can be set where the tines will go straight down into the ground, basically 90 degrees, or you can adjust it. I think off memory it's up to 75 degrees on our Verti drain. I think it's similar for most, and that's the amount that it allows to pivot as you travel. In theory, the more heave you have, the more lifting, the more disruption it will cause. But it also then does lead to a reduced working depth, because instead of the tines going in straight to full depth, they're only going in, they're entering at an angle, so you're never going to achieve that full depth. So again, depending on your preference for heave and lift on the pitch versus actual depth of the tine penetrating the ground, will depend on alter the amount of heave that you want on your pitch. Again, another factor to discuss with your contractor, because it is something that can be adjusted. It is something that has, again, pros and cons to having lots of heave versus no heave, and it can impact on the quality of your job. Of any decompaction, Verti draining work is really key. A lot of it for me comes down to your available budget. If you've got a budget that allows you to decompact your pitches every 4, 6 or 8 weeks through the season, fantastic. That'll really help with the playability of your pitch, the grass strength, the plant health throughout the season. If you don't have such a significant budget, you might still be able to run to a couple of decompactions within season. Then I think it's key to try and time those to give you the best benefit possible. Just as we're going into autumn, before typically the ground becomes its softest and compaction becomes its greatest, is a good time to open up the surface to try and delay the onset of any significant compaction as long as possible. And likewise, coming out of that same period of time as we get into spring, as the ground dries up and compaction should become less and less, is a good time to decompact, to verti drain those pitches, get them open, as naturally they should become drier as the year progresses. If your budget only realistically allows one application per year, then if you're running to do some summer renovations and as a result the pitch will be closed for a number of weeks while they recover, that's probably the best time to get your most bang for your greatest value for money, because there will be a period where the pitches are left open. Any new grass that you see, there will be encouraged to develop stronger and deeper roots, and then that should help you as you go into your season. But whether you are verti draining or decompacting on a 4-week basis, a 6-week basis, an 8-week basis, twice in season, once in season, once in the summer, the ground conditions are the key, because you want the ground soft enough to accept the tine of a verti drain or the blade of a shockwave to as deep as you possibly can, or your working depth that you've specified, but you want the ground firm enough so that that tine or that blade is causing the disturbance, is causing the decompaction through fracturing, rather than just sliding through wet soil, because then you won't really achieve what you're trying to get, and again you won't get that value from it. It is becoming more and more costly to decompact pitches. The cost of machinery is going up, the cost of maintaining those machines is going up, the cost of paying somebody a wage to sit on a machine and do that job is going up. So it becomes more and more important that the value for money is at the forefront of your discussions with your contractor when you're talking about any decompaction work or any work in general on your pitches. So one side of the big field's done now. Still giving a really good finish. Pitches are looking really good as we go into March. Time for a break though, because dinner's here. Just need to lift the rear roller up now into transport position, fold up probably those heads and those to make sure they're not too close to the ground, and then a nice hour and a half drive home. I'm not moaning, it's been a great day, great weather, great condition on the pitches, happy days. Not a very grumpy groundsman today.